Guten Morgen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a good day to all of you. Welcome to the second Masa webinar in English, and thank you for your interest and participation. My name is Frank Reschke, and I'm the Managing Director of Masa. We are pleased to present an exciting topic to you today, the Masa API. In our point of view, the Masa API is one of the many digitizing tools which will become increasingly important in block production. Just why? We believe that will be answered by my respected colleagues, Mr. Cory Barkland from the USA and Mr. Michael Dolon. Let me introduce Cory and Michael. In 2015, after his successful graduation, Cory Barkland joined Masa USA in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Today, his primary responsibility is an area sales manager for Canada and parts of the USA. Michael Dolon has been with Masa since 1994. At Masa, he worked for several years in the areas of plant commissioning and software development. In 2003, he took over the management of the electrical engineering department, where he is responsible for the continuous further development of the Masa control software and visualization, amongst other roles. You're welcome to ask questions during the webinar. Please use the Q&A function to ask us your questions. In the background, our experts will answer your questions as they come in or as soon as possible. Now I would like to turn over to my colleagues and wish you a lot of fun at our webinar. Of course, I'm looking forward to your feedback. Please, Cory, go ahead.
Good morning, Frank. Thank you for the warm introduction there. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Just want to mention before we get started, throughout the presentation, you're going to see a few survey questions pop up. We appreciate your feedback on this as it gives us a little bit of a better understanding of where our customers are on this topic. If you prefer not to fill that out, that's all right. You can also just exit out, and we're going to be presenting the survey results at the end of the webinar. So with that, on to today's topic, Masa API, an Industry 4.0 solution. So when we talk about manufacturing, it's hard to get into that conversation without someone bringing up Industry 4.0. And the building materials industry, whether you're a concrete block and paver manufacturer or your equipment supplier, is no exception. When you take a look at our automated factories, at intelligent cubing concepts, at predictive maintenance, you can see how this has been affecting our lives for some time now. But if you take a look at some other industries, you can see that we're still a few steps behind. So the automotive industry, for example, their processes, they're well documented, often well digitized, they're precisely controlled, and they've been optimized accordingly. So today what we want to do is focus on process digitization and the growing need to be interconnecting your ERP system with your production data and the benefits that can bring that to you. So today, your production data, it's already available and it's already ready to be exported to external sources. But where the challenge lies is taking these huge data points, all your manufacturing data, and taking all your other resources that's kind of in two separate areas, collecting them into a single interface and being able to analyze them accordingly. So today what we want to focus on, what's an ERP system, growing reasons for having an ERP system in the building materials industry, some prerequisites for integrating your production data with your ERP system, and then finally, how we'd like to implement that using a Masa API. So here, For a survey question, just looking to know, are you using an ERP system, and if so, which one? So an ERP system, an enterprise resource planning system, it's used to identify and plan the resource requirements for your entire organization. It's in a single user interface. So essentially, what resources do you require to operate your business? When do you need these resources, and how can you optimize the most efficient use of these resources? So let's take a look at some of the different types of information that could be flowing from your ERP system to your manufacturing system in a back and forth conversation. So order processing, everything starts with the order. The sales order is created in the ERP system. The ERP system is the leading system in a sense, and that sales order can trigger manufacturing orders. One sales order could potentially trigger several manufacturing orders. So each order, it's receiving an ID there, and this ID is going to be the reference between your ERP system and your production data. Production planning, determining the cost for your raw materials, the personnel required, the time to produce and package your different products. Material and resources, what type of raw materials do you need? How much quantities do you need? What's your consumables, whether that's your packaging resources, your production pallets, your shipping pallets, so on and so forth. And the master data for this, it's put into the ERP system, and then it could be transferred to and from your manufacturing databases. So your human resources, who do you need to fulfill an order? Does this job require a machine operator? Do you need forklift personnel? Maybe you need some maintenance personnel. Who do you need? When do you need them? And are these people available? Inventory management, knowing exactly what you have in inventory and where is it. So some customers will have huge amounts of product stored in their yard. What's the situation with that? Is that already been sold? Is it set to go to a distribution center? What's your current inventory at? Information and communication technology. So everything you need for all your operations, all your financial information being contained in a single location. It can help you to empower your employees who are working in different areas. Many of us have been working from home for a period of time there. Do these people who are working remote, who are in different manufacturing facilities, do they have the information that they need to do their jobs? And then finally, accounting. So having all the data for all the resources that you put into fulfilling an order. What did you sell that order for? And when you have all the pieces of the puzzle together, you can make some pretty complex but standardized reporting that gives you some detailed financial information. It can help you to do cost accounting. It can help you for controlling, and it can help you to audit your organization's finances. So why do we think that's important? Reasons for an ERP system in the concrete block making companies. Growing product variety. So every year it seems that customers are asking for new products from producers, different sizes, different colors seem to be trending from year to year. Different finishing effects. Every year there's a higher expectation to come out with new products. Additionally, people like to buy correlated items from a single source. So let's see, if I was looking to make a paver patio in my backyard, sure, I might need some pavers, but maybe I need some wall elements. Maybe I'd like a fire pit. And if I want to buy these items to do this project, I'd like to buy it from a single source. So people want new products. They want a huge diversity, but they also want access to your previous products. whatever your hot sellers were in the times past, your customers are going to come back, and they're still hoping to see these products out there. So the product catalogs, they seem to continue to keep growing, and it can take a huge amount of administrative efforts to keep up with this. So commission-related production, definitely a trend for smaller purchases with quicker lead times. So customers are looking to buy just what they need, and when they decide to make a purchase, they would like to receive their product quickly. When you take a look at some different areas of our life, you can see how we're slowly transforming into an instant gratification society. I use the example of a few weeks ago. I was looking to buy a home office. Like many of you, I was working from home, and I decided I wasn't quite satisfied with it. At the moment, I was out of town on a trip, and I decided, I'd like to have a new home office set up when I get back. So it's Tuesday morning. I go ahead, I go on the internet, I buy my home office setup from a single website, and when I'm home on Friday, look what's waiting for me. Everything that I purchased, and that was just a two-day ordeal. So different areas of our life, these type of services are already becoming available, and in some industries, it's becoming commonplace. So warehouse management and logistics, how are we going to manage this growing product portfolio and this desire for shorter lead times? Optimizing your warehouse management, optimizing your logistics is going to be important to be able to keep up with that. So when you're able to track your physical inventory in real time, you're able to plan what you need to replenish your inventory. You can have some markers out there saying, okay, our inventory got to a certain level. Now we need to start to restock it. When all your information is in a singular source, you can create some pretty detailed sales forecasts based off real-time data, showing you that, okay, this product is really taking off right now. Should we consider building up our inventory on it so it's going to be available as we continue throughout the production season? Order-related cost transparencies, like we mentioned, having everything in one area, having your order ID and all the resources that you took to fulfill that order in a single place. That's going to be able to allow you to do a cost analysis. So you're going to find out where is the most ROI coming from your organization. What different products, what different services are really driving the most value for you. How can we leverage that information to make sure that our high ROI activities are being leveraged, they're being taken advantage of, and taking a look at the places that maybe we're not getting a high ROI, and maybe thinking, how often do we really want to be, indulging in those services? Okay. So let's take a look at some prerequisites. What do you need to connect an ERP system to your manufacturing database? Quick question should pop up. Are you using plant data to increase productivity? Yes, no, or partial. Okay. So here we go. We have a start of an order ID. As we said, the sales order is created in the ERP. From that triggers manufacturing orders. So here we have an order ID, and we're going to show you how this flows throughout the production process and some different data points that are going to be incorporated. So onto the mixing and batching. Here we have our order ID, and that's going to trigger what's our raw material requirements. How much cement, how much aggregates, how much water, how long are we going to mix this product for? Is it a through mix product? Is it a face mix product? Once that process is complete, it gets a timestamp and it goes onto the machine. Okay, again, the order ID triggering the product information. What product are we producing? How much are we trying to produce? What's our filling parameters? What's our vibration settings? Things of that nature. Receives a timestamp, continues down the production process. You look at the wet side line. Potentially you have a washing station on there. Some people are using some sealers on the wet side line. Maybe it's the last batch of a mix, and you really don't have a pallet full of product, so you use the QC pallet dumping device. All this information is being logged and transported through the process into the curing chamber. Okay, where are we storing this product? Let's put a timestamp on it. Once it gets into the curing station, it gets another timestamp once it comes out of the curing station and to the dry side line. So here the order ID is telling us what our packaging requirements are. Maybe this product has to go through some different value-added lines. You know, how many layers are we going to put in this package? How are we going to clamp this product? Maybe you have some different packaging requirements. Maybe you want some certain labels on there. All of this is accounted for in the system. So as you can see, you have huge amounts of data sets. This information is already available. It's already ready to be exported to external systems. But the process has been integration in the past. So let's take a look at how we can implement this through a Masa API. Okay. So here, once again, all of our production data is stored in the top left. We're taking a look at the parts of the block making factory through the Masa API going into the customer-owned and vendor-independent ERP system. So basically, the data transfer is implemented using an API, an application programming interface. So all your production data, it can be, you know, from your various different components that we just walked through there, they can be made available and evaluated using pre-programmed modules. And an API, it should be thought of as a collection of fully programmed functions that can be made available by calling specified data. So you need to call for the data in order for the API to receive the data, okay? And once that data is received, it can be integrated into the ERP system. So there's going to be 4 basic elements required to make this transfer happen. We need secure data transfer. You need to be able to transfer the data, do so securely. Synchronization of master data. Your data needs to be able to communicate with each other. That's the way it's going to be able to flow back and forth between your ERP and your production data. Order management, how are we going to be handling our orders? And then finally, the exchange of production data into the ERP system. So let's take a look at those 4 points in a little bit more detail in these subsequent slides. So here we have an example of a potential network structure. So the availability and the function of this system is the absolute priority. So if your connection to your ERP system were ever to get broken down for whatever reason, you need to still be able to produce, and you still need to be able to call on data to make that production happen. So in order to enable this, what you need to be able to do is to buffer your data, okay? And in order to be able to do this, Masa likes to take control and use our own subnet for the plant control system. So if you take a look at the diagram, you'll see that the system is decoupled via its own switch, and that's what's establishing the connection to the outside world. Also, this is being secured via a red box with the firewall system. So the secure data system, the secure data transfer. to make sure that your data is secure, even beyond the local network boundaries, we have an integrated authentication mechanism, and that's based on a token transmission method. So here we have a token being requested by the customer. Okay, it's going into the authentication server. It's coming back. The token's been received. It gets transferred to Masa, to the Masa API. The token is validated, and then finally it's released. So you need to request a token. It has to go back. It has to be verified. And only when this verification happens is when communication is going to flow back and forth. In terms of transferring data safely and efficiently, this token system is a well-regarded method in the IT realm. So how are we going to sync this data up? So here we're going to have a main data reference. This is created. This is the creation of your material components. Here we have an aggregate, for example. It could be your mixed recipes. It can be your products. It could be your orders. So this main data is being generated in the ERP system, and it's going to get an ID there. So in this case, this aggregate has an ID 1009. It's going to the API, and we're inputting another ID here. So what's known as 1009 in the ERP system is known as 399 in your production data. Okay, so these two codes are cross-referenced, so they're able to communicate with each other. The ERP system knows that, okay, in the manufacturing setting, it's 399, and in the manufacturing database, it knows, okay, this is reference 1009 in the ERP system. And this two data synchronization, these cross IDs is the way that it's sharing a common language to be able to communicate back and forth. When you look at your consumption rates within the plant setting, this is how it's flowing from the production plant back into your ERP system to be able to generate these different values, to really understand what resources did you use to create a production product. And then the same process, it's carried out for your different products, for your different mixed recipes, and for your different orders. So let's take a look at what creating a manual order looks like in the Masa concrete block making factories. What does it look like in the current control software? So here we select to make a new order. Up top, you see some general information. We have our order number, we have the name, the description, and then we go to add our different products. Maybe it's a couple products that's required for this one specific order. You choose them, and you start to select your quantities. So in this setting, it's the quantity, the units being measured in meters squared. Okay. How much of each product are we going to produce? And then in the left-hand side here, in this left column, you're going to see all of your orders lined up. In this case, it's only showing 2, but in a real-world setting, it could be 100 orders, for example. Here we have our product name. We can select this, and then you have the opportunity to hit the Start button. The green highlight indicates that it's being activated, and it's showing that this is going to start producing this. Okay. So let's take a look at the exchange of production data. Here we have our mixing and batching plant. So the data record contains all of your general information. On the top, we have our order number, we have our order name, product number, again, the timestamp that we referenced earlier. And then below, we have all the details to create the mix for the design, right? The different type of aggregates, your cementitious material, your color, so on and so forth. Okay, and then basically the way that this would be integrated, it would be taking your production data that's been going through this planned telegram system through the Masa API, and then automatically fed back into your ERP system, such as the example, the screenshot in OGS. So because you can transfer the data, because it's able to communicate with one another, it's speaking the same language, this communication is able to flow back and forth between your ERP system and your production data. Okay, let's take a look at the machine. You'll see up top, we have pretty much an identical header category. Again, your order number, what's the order name, your product number. We have a mold ID in this one. Again, when did we start production? When did we finish it, right? The production data on the bottom, okay, how much quantity did we produce? How many cycles did it take to get there? Did we have downtime there? All this information can flow in between your ERP system and your production data. So when you take a look at this, we have some different downtimes. Was this downtime related to an equipment failure? Was the downtime waiting for some mix? Was it just a mold change or something that you would expect? Or is there some information that you can find within that says, maybe we can start to change our processes to help and compensate, to help to reduce this downtime? So again, we have the data exchange. So the way that this data is being exchanged, it needs to have an event driving it, okay? So an event that's gonna trigger this to happen could be a new order, it could be a dosed material, a product change, maybe a shift change. Any of these factors could tell it to start to communicate back and forth. It could also be triggered based on time. Certain ERP systems might need to receive updates faster than what an event-driven prompt would be able to do. So for example, you could decide, I want to exchange data every 10 minutes. So the data structures that were shown throughout the presentation were created in cooperation with OGS. They're an experienced ERP manufacturer for the building material industry. So that's kind of where we're getting our data structure. It was some input from Masa, it was some input from OGS. Just want to note that Masa is creating its own visualization systems, creating its own user interfaces. This is being done in-house with our own application developers. So Masa has access to all the data within the system and has the capabilities to evaluate them accordingly. If a customer has some specific requirements that they'd like to see, that they'd like to have integrated, we're flexible in finding a solution for that. So in closing, one more question here. Just asking about the data exchange between the plant data and an office application. Okay, so today we took a look at what an ERP system is, the growing need to have one in the building materials industry, some prerequisites to be able to integrate these two processes, and finally the solution through a Masa API, and how you might be able to implement that. So like we mentioned, while the production data is already available, it's already ready to be exported, automating this interface can reduce and then sometimes eliminate the need for repetitive administrative tasks. It can give you access to important information. It can give you this access in real time, and this can help you to make better and faster business decisions. At the bottom here, let's take a look at some detailed forecastings, having a great understanding of where we're driving value in our organization, getting a master plan for your material consumption, for your logistics, being able to streamline these processes across your organization. Okay, so with that, just going to take a quick look at these different survey results, and then we're going to send it back to Michael. It looks like we have a few questions lined up here, and then we'll send it back over to Michael, who's going to go ahead and take these. So are you using an ERP system? If so, which one? So it looks like a good number of people are in fact using an ERP system. Okay, so are you using plant data to increase productivity? Heavy people saying yes, some people saying partial, but it looks like everyone recognizes that this information is available, number one, and of course it could be used to help define and to optimize some of your processes. And for the last one, is there a data exchange between the plant data and the office application? Okay, so we have a 50-50 split here. Be curious to hear in a general conversation how some people are kind of implementing this. Is it an automated process? Is it a heavy manual process? Appreciate you guys taking the survey, taking the time to sit in on this webinar, and we'll send it back to Michael, who can answer some of these questions for you. Thank you, guys. There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. A very warm welcome also from my side. During the webinar, questions are coming up, and I will try to answer some of them. The first one: what efforts do I have with the realization and integration of the Masa API? Okay. The API is fully programmed and tested by Masa from the machine side. The effort lies in the customer-specific adaptations of the data and the integration of the retrieved data into the ERP system. Here, it depends on which system is used and how the data integration can be implemented. Due to the different forms of ERP systems, it is difficult to make a general statement here. Next question. I have 4 plants in 4 different locations. Is it possible to control them all together? Yeah, in general, yes. The API can supply more than one plant with data. Here it depends on how the network infrastructure between the plants is managed. You can also use one API for each plant. The data structure is not affected by this. Which requirements must my concrete block production plant meet so that the Masa API can be retrofitted? Ideally, the year of construction of the system is not older than 2010 and already equipped with the new Masa Fast Control. Then we would update the software to the current state, and the API can be used with customer-specific adaptations. For the controls which are older than 2010, at least they should contain an S7 control with PC visualization. The API can be used there, but we must check and coordinate on a case-by-case basis. The next question. We have an ERP system with SQL and .NET. Is it possible to integrate our ERP system with the Masa API? Yeah, I would say in general, yes, it is possible because the Masa API works independently of programming languages and can work with different databases like MySQL or Firebird or whatever you have there. Is the Masa API applicable to all Masa machines, even an old machine? Yes, we talked a little bit before. The Masa API is applicable to all Masa machines since 2010 in general, but we are pleased to take a look at the existing conditions on your site and make an inventory, especially for the plants which are older than 2010. Then we can work out and offer you a solution based on your configuration. Please do not hesitate to contact us. That's all from my side in the moment, and I will hand over back to Frank Weschke. Thanks for your attention and interest. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Corey, in America. Thank you, Michael, in Germany. And thank you to our guests for your interest in our webinar. We will continue to have further webinars in the future, and we are already working on exciting topics. Soon you will find more information on our website, but we will also be pleased to inform you by email or personally. Furthermore, I would like to point out that you are welcome to ask further questions using the Q&A function of Zoom. If you do not receive an answer immediately, we will answer your questions later by email. Thank you once again und wir sehen uns bald. Bye bye.